So this video is intended to teach people what I've learned about longboarding. A little bit about me: I am 32 and I never rode a longboard before a month ago, but in that time I have learned quite a bit and accumulated quite a selection of fun toys. To start, my first experience was like, hey, I'm poor, so let's buy cheap stuff and have fun with it, see if I enjoy it. This was the first deck that I got. It is a standard pintail cruiser. It's really stiff, it's really rigid. It was like 60 bucks, complete on Amazon. Really not much to it. It's very basic. It's made of maple. It's fun to ride, but there's a lot of stuff that was lacking in this board. It's really stiff, it's really rigid, can't really do too much on it. The hardware, which is essentially the trucks that came with it and everything that was associated with the trucks, was low quality, which made it difficult to balance through turns. Bad bearings made it hard to push. So it was a very frustrating board to kick around town. From here, I realized there were a few things that I definitely knew that I wanted in my next longboard, which didn't take me too long to get because this one, again, was so frustrating because it was so cheap and poorly constructed. The first thing that I wanted was something that was lower to the ground. The pintails have a tendency to ride high, especially when they're on the very low end of things. That means that there is a riser that goes in between the skateboard deck itself and the trucks. So essentially, the riser is on the trucks go on the board, and that gives you an extra half-inch, eighth-inch, whatever it is, in between the deck and the top of the wheels to decrease wheel bite. These were the original trucks that came with this deck. I don't know if you can see, but these bushings are the green piece that's laid in there. They're very low quality urethane. They're easy to compress, not in the good way. They're not very dynamic. They don't really bounce back. It's just a very rigid setup on this. So I knew I wanted something that was lower to the ground, which makes the riding experience more stable, especially to a new rider like myself. Something that is more fun to turn with, more fun to carve with, something that at speed would allow me to remain stable while really leaning into the board and really leaning into the turn. So with that said, I knew I wanted new trucks, I knew I wanted new bushings, and I knew I wanted a new deck. So from there, I moved to the Arbor Drop Cruiser. The Arbor Drop Cruiser is a drop-through design, which means that the trucks sit on top of the deck where your feet are, and the trucks drop through the deck to meet the ground. So that gives you a lower center of gravity, which means you're going to feel more stable as you ride. The other thing that this deck has that this deck does not have is the capability to be ridden more comfortably in a multi-directional facet. So that is to say, this board with the front and my front foot up here rides the same or very similar to my front foot up here, my forward foot up here on the deck. It's a lot heavier, this board, which is going to increase its stability. It's a lot more rigid. Not something I knew about when I bought it, but nevertheless, it's a very comfortable feel. This is like an old Coupe de Ville car, it's just, it's a cruiser, you know. It's going around, it's getting around, it's going to get groceries and being stable doing it, taking hills and falling because of my own incompetence, not because of the deck itself or the board itself. So I got the board and I knew I wanted new trucks. So the trucks that I got were more Amazon purchases. These are the Yoker, I don't know, garbage trucks, as I would like to call them. They are they're not, I guess, cheaply made, but no, I guess they are cheaply made. They kingpin, bushings, all that, all included with wheels and bearings. I think it was like $40 on Amazon. And the problem that I had with these was that I was able to bend the kingpin very quickly. I took the skateboard to a parking lot one night, and you know, I started to learn to slide with the slide gloves and all that, and turns out the kingpin wasn't up to snuff and bent, which was a bad experience, to say the least. I don't have that kingpin handy, otherwise I would show you. But yeah, so these, you know, you get what you pay for in this sport. You buy low quality products that are cheap, you get a low quality experience that could potentially hurt you. I was lucky there were no cars and I didn't get hurt, but you know, if I had done that somewhere else and that kingpin had bent and I got up without realizing it, it could have been worse. So from there, I went down to the local skate shop, which unfortunately is just a large retailing Vans fashion store that happens to sell a few things for skateboards as well. And I got the Gullwing Chargers. Gullwing Chargers, I believe, are made by Sector 9. They are on par with the next level up. They're about $60 in the store. $40 on Amazon if you're lucky. Very solid construction. They are a 50-degree truck. The bushings that come with it, I think, are 89A. There are the red pieces in there. I don't know if you can see all the way in there or down under here, perhaps. It's very difficult. But they're very comfortable trucks. Getting on this board with new trucks was a whole new experience. I felt very stable and very confident in my abilities to turn. So that was my next setup. From there, I have somebody in my life who I ride skateboards with. They're very important to me, and when I started skateboarding, she started skateboarding as well, and this was her original. I believe it's Vocal. I don't really know, but this is how it came from Amazon. It was a $70 skateboard deck. It's made of bamboo, so it's a lot lighter, a little bit easier to push, and it has a double concave. So the concave in this instance refers to the depth between rails. So on a deck like this, there is an elliptical pattern here that is almost as if the board was wrapped around a pipe, and that pipe would still be sitting here. It no longer is, so you have a concave surface here. This is a double concave, so it's actually shaped like a W. So rather than as though there would be one large pipe sitting on the top, pressing the board around it, there would be two. So what this does is it creates a concave here and then a concave here, both of them separate from the entire deck. And in the center, there is essentially another rail on this, and that makes it difficult to ride, especially for beginners. It kind of throws the balance off a little bit, and there's some potential to like hurt yourself because it's a new experience. So kicking and riding is not as intuitive perhaps as the single concave, but nevertheless you know, it got her around town safely, and it taught her what she wanted in her next deck. With that said, she's a smaller figure, so you know, she wants something smaller for her feet, something smaller in width. The length was fine, but the width was an issue. She wanted something that was without this double concave. So little things like that, you know, it really is trial and error at that point. So, being resourceful individuals, we decided to look on Craigslist to find other skateboards that would meet our needs as a totally badass couple skating around town. So yesterday, we found this beauty on Craigslist for a very reasonable price. This is a Bustin Reflex bamboo camber board, I guess. I don't really know. Or maybe it's the Machete 39-inch, the Machete 39-inch from Bustin. Bustin is, as far as I know, a great company. This is a very solid, fun deck to ride. It does have a slight camber to it, so camber is going to be exemplified best in this next deck, but for now, just remember the word. It has a very nice concave to it. It's a thinner deck, so it's more comfortable for her to ride with the shorter feet, smaller feet. These are Paris trucks. They're very nice. They are 180 millimeters. That's this length in here. The end to end on the axle. So the axle goes through the hanger and keeps the wheels on, all that fun stuff. Very nice. Another 50-degree base plate here and here. Sturdy ride. She loves it. Double kicktails. It is multi-directional again with the drop-through design. This allows her to stay low to the ground and stay tight in her turns, have fun carving, and it really, you know, just gives her a better sense of comfort and ease on this deck as opposed to the double concave that she had before. So from there, I got it in my head at 1:30 in the morning to look online for my new deck because I was jealous of her new toy. I wanted a new toy. That's who I am. And I found this little beauty. This is a loaded dervish. It is about 40 inches long. It is made of bamboo, and it shows you what a drop-through looks like without the trucks on. Now, Loaded, as far as I know, is a top-of-the-line company who makes great products. This is the number 2 flex. They have a series of flexes which basically says if you weigh between this weight and that weight, you will like this flex. Makes it very approachable for people to understand what it is they're buying when they're buying it. This board is a great example of camber. Camber is this curve that you're seeing in the deck itself. And if I compare that curve to a flat deck, you can see this loaded deck actually rises, coming to a peak here in the center, and then comes back down. This pintail underneath does not do that. That pintail is going to be relatively flat straight across. There's no camber to it. It does have the concave, but there is no camber. With that said, what the camber does is it allows the board to really flex and move with the rider. In my experience so far, this allows me to ride more comfortably around the city without, you know, going over potholes, stuff like that, and not really feeling it. And it makes it a little bit easier to push, to kick with, and it is more fun to turn with. It's a very, I don't want to say mushy feel, but it's a very fluid turn on this loaded board. So it's a lot of fun. Maybe you can see it a little bit better like this. You get the... So these are the these are the decks that we've been playing with so far. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. There's certain things that we like about them and other things we don't. It really is just a trial and error. There's some more specifics I'll go into on the next video. You know, as far as bearings go, wheels, bushings, go more in depth in trucks, truck design, maybe even explain what the angle of a truck is, so that way we can help to educate. Thanks for watching, and leave comments below.